The majestic lighthouses of Maine. They are some of the most beautiful and storied in the nation. Today, there are 66 lighthouses still standing along the Maine coast. From the state's oldest, the 1791 Portland Head Lighthouse, to its youngest, the 1910 Whitlock's Mill Lighthouse, these venerable guardians have transcended time and continue to stand sentinel over the state's rocky shorelines, remote islands, and wave-swept ledges. However, despite their ability to stand the test of time, Maine's lighthouses are threatened like never before. Climate change, rising sea levels, and severe storms with greater intensity and frequency are now exacting a heavy toll on these irreplaceable treasures. According to the Gulf of Maine Research Institute, the Gulf of Maine is warming faster than almost any other ocean surface on the planet. As the Gulf of Maine continues to warm, sea levels will rise. This will lead to more flooding events in coastal areas, especially when combined with higher tides and stronger storm surges, all as a result of climate change. Our nation, as well as the rest of the world, witnessed firsthand this warning become a reality during January 2024, when two powerful storms, arriving just 3 days apart, struck the Maine coast with fury and unprecedented storm surge levels. Coastal damage was widespread, but how did lighthouses fare? It was immediately evident some on the mainland had suffered harm, but what about those offshore? With so many light stations located on islands and wave-swept ledges, determining the extent of damage during winter became a major hurdle to overcome. Undeterred, Ford Reiki of the Presumpscot Foundation and Bob Trapani, American Lighthouse Foundation Executive Director, took to the air in a helicopter to assess the scope of damage. In all, they surveyed 23 light stations from the Kennebec River to Frenchman's Bay. The degree of damage was riveting. Approximately 1/3 of Maine's 66 lighthouses were battered by the storms. Egg Rock's entryway building leading to the basement was destroyed. Wood siding was damaged, and a timber seawall was swept away. At Winter Harbor, storm seas damaged and moved the boathouse off its foundation. The boat ramp was also harmed. Great Duck Island's boathouse and fog signal building incurred damage, while the seas reached nearly all the way to the oil house. Storm seas destroyed a basement door and shutters along the first level of the keeper's house at Indian Island, causing interior water damage. At Cuckold's, the timber seawall was destroyed. The boathouse was damaged and moved off its foundation. The boathouse on Whitehead Island collapsed and was a total loss. The site's walkway connecting the island to an outer pier was destroyed. At Ram Island, a 214-foot walkway leading from the island out to the lighthouse was completely swept away. Wood Island's boathouse was moved approximately 20 feet off its foundation and suffered damage on all four sides. Further erosion occurred near the lighthouse as well. The storms caused $300,000 damage to the dock and historic structures at Halfway Rock Lighthouse. The lighthouse and keeper's house at Grindle Point suffered flooding. The boathouse was moved off its foundation. At Goat Island, the boathouse, boat ramp, bell tower, covered walkway, and the grounds all suffered damage. At Marshall Point, the footbridge was moved and its supporting piers were damaged. Storm seas also caused approximately 4 feet of erosion to the grounds. The bell tower at Pemaquid Point was completely destroyed by waves that reached over 40 feet above sea level. The keeper's house, oil house, and grounds also suffered harm. Storm seas inflicted heavy damage on the access pier at Ram Island Ledge. The pier was a total loss. Storm seas ripped off siding along the keeper's house and damaged the boathouse at Rockland Breakwater Lighthouse. At Petite Manane, seabird nesting areas incurred significant erosion damage as sea levels reached far up onto the island. Walkways and areas near the boat ramp suffered harm. Lighthouses, deliberately constructed in harm's way, are now on the front lines of our changing climate. There is no place for them to hide, and time is not on their side. Without prompt and meaningful action to mitigate the dangers posed by climate change, along with efforts to make lighthouses and their supporting light station structures more resilient, these treasures will continue to suffer from rising sea levels and stronger, more frequent storms. Many may not survive. The time to act is now. The American Lighthouse Foundation has established a storm and mitigation committee tasked with creating an action plan to address this urgent need. Utilizing the January 2024 Maine experience and response, the American Lighthouse Foundation's initial goal is to provide much-needed resources for lighthouses in Maine, across America, and beyond. We must tackle climate change and its impact on lighthouses as a collective. On the January 29, 2024 episode of News Center Maine's popular 207 program, host Rob Caldwell discussed with Ford Reike and Bob Trapani topics such as the lack of disaster relief funding for lighthouses, how flood insurance is essentially unattainable, the ongoing impact of climate change at lighthouses, and what can be done to help. Identifying disaster mitigation funds for lighthouses is critical. The American Lighthouse Foundation and fellow lighthouse stewards presented testimony to the Maine Legislature's Appropriations and Financial Affairs Committee requesting $12 million be allocated in Bill LD 2225 for mitigation investments to protect against the adverse effects posed by future storms. Thanks to these efforts, $15 million was appropriated to help lighthouses, nonprofits, and small businesses. Partners in our communities, such as Maine Preservation, are helping the American Lighthouse Foundation raise public awareness. This respected organization released their 2024 Most Endangered Historic Places list, and according to Maine Preservation, this year's list sounds the alarm on matters of a different scale. One of them calls into question the fate of Maine's 66 beloved light stations due to climate change impacts. This is the reality we face. There is no going back. By calling attention to the need for investing in vital mitigation and resiliency measures at our lighthouses, while also bringing together experts in coastal mitigation, disaster recovery, and historic preservation to develop resources for lighthouse stewards navigating these new challenges. The American Lighthouse Foundation is leading the way to a more resilient future. Planning, protecting, and strengthening today so that lighthouses and their stewards will be stronger in the face of the storms ahead. So let's get to work. The time to shine is here and now. To learn more about the American Lighthouse Foundation, visit lighthousefoundation.org.